In this video, we will be tasting and talking about batch 66 of the Ecocha Tea Club of Fo Shou Oolong Tea. Batch 66 of the Ecocha Tea Club is a Fo Shou Oolong Tea crafted by our source of Taiwanese oolong, who lives in Muzha, Taipei, the home or historical origin of Taiwanese Taiwanese oolong tea. And he sources these Fo Shou tea leaves from a friend in the Pinglin area. And Pinglin is most famous for its Baozhong tea. He takes the freshly picked leaves and processes them in Pinglin at his friend's factory, very similarly to a Taiwanese process. So they're medium to heavy oxidation and have been roasted repeatedly for a total of about 24 hours. He did note that in roasting the Fo Shou leaves, he needs to go a little bit lower in the temperature. These leaves are larger and thinner, being a large leaf type cultivar. There are two basic categories of cultivars: large leaf type and, guess, small leaf type. Small leaf is what most of the tea strains are in Taiwan for making oolong tea specifically. There are large leaf cultivars such as the wild tea strain that is naturally occurring here in Taiwan, as well as Tai Cha number 18 or red jade, and the Assam strain that was brought here initially by the Japanese some 100 years ago or more when they colonized Taiwan. So Fo Shou is a cultivar. It's the name of a type of tea strain that originates from mainland China, and it is the large leaf type, so it's maintained its identity coming from the original wild strains in southwestern China, presumably. So this is the second time we've sourced Fo Shou, only for the Ecocha Tea Club. There's a precious little amount of it in Taiwan in general, and our friend makes very, very small batches. This entire batch came to about 27 jing. One jing is 600 grams, so that amounts to less than 20 kilos of tea. We were able to get the bulk of that in order to have enough to share with our members. And we sourced it back in November or December, and intentionally waited until now because we are slowly but surely becoming convinced and educated by experience that sourcing both Taiwanese and this Fo Shou, it improves after settling for several months. So we've learned that with our batches of Taiwanese, we only source spring and winter batches from him, given that it's a little bit lower elevation in the northern region of Taiwan. And we've learned that if we source a spring tea, it tastes better by the time we are sourcing winter tea. And so it is with winter tea. It's reaching its peak, so to speak, 6 months later when spring tea is available. We feel the same about this tea. So, without further ado, I decided to brew the tea before so that we could taste it after it's cooled down. I'm more and more into that, especially with a tea like this. The sweetness comes out much more when it's cooled down and the volatile oils have mellowed out or are not evaporating, basically. When it's hot, I did brew it this morning, and I'll just interject that with this 150 milliliter pot, this morning I put 10 grams in and it was packed. I normally go 1:15 ratio with oolong teas in general that are tightly rolled, meaning 1 gram per 15 milliliters of water, 10 grams of tea leaves for 150 milliliters of water. When I brewed it this morning, 10 grams in here, it packed the teapot. So I went with 9 grams for this brew and seeing if I can get a little bit more complexity. In my experience, when the teapot is overly packed or you're really pushing the ratio to its fullest, you get more body, but you lose some of the complexity of the brew if it's concentrated more than less. So it's really worthwhile playing with it and going a little more and a little less to find where you think is the sweet spot, so to speak. About 1 minute brews, I have brew 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 and 6 in this pitcher together. And the excess from 1, 2, 3, and 4 is in this mug here. So I'm going to go ahead and take a sip of the first brew. I usually brew the first brew a little bit more lightly because I like to get the delicate side of it before I go further into it. Cooled down, it really shines. I really, drink it hot to see what it has there, but give yourself the opportunity to taste it when it's cooled down. The viscosity is much more evident, the smooth mouthfeel. The sweetness is definitely more evident, and it just has a more fruity complexity. When I brewed it hot, or when I drank it hot in my first brew earlier today, a lot more of the mineral notes were present. It really has a balance of distinct mineral qualities together with a lot of sweetness and sometimes fruitiness, sometimes sugariness, like caramelized brown sugar in an iron skillet. That's what I was thinking of, as well as maple syrup. But I couldn't help thinking that it was the maple syrup flavor that I can remember as a child making those instant oatmeal packets, those instant packets of instant oatmeal maple syrup flavored. That's what the memories that were being conjured up by drinking this tea and tasting it while it was hot. I'm going to go for brew 2 here. More of the same, a little more concentrated, more of that balance of minerally and fruity. Okay, brew 3. More balanced. That was the best so far. I'm going to have another sip of that. Yeah, it's just pulled itself together. It's not so distinctly separated, those mineral and fruity sweet notes. It's got a smooth and balanced character to it. For the fourth brew, I intentionally went for at least 2 minutes, probably more. I just wanted to see what it would do by brewing it for a longer period. Let's try it. Pretty strong. Yeah, wow, that's got some zing. I'm going to be tea drunk in a few minutes. I better hurry up and finish talking. It's delicious. It's zapping my whole face. It's very flavor packed. It's got some a little bit of bite and astringency, but it's not drying my mouth out, and it's just super zingy. It's got this incredible bounce to its flavor. Really good. Okay, I'm gonna finish up one and nice to go back to that delicate brew. Much more almost floral notes in comparison to the concentrate that I just imbibed. This is 5 and 6, fairly normal. I just wanted to see what kind of endurance the tea would have. Still much warmer as well, being put in this insulated, kind of air insulated pitcher here. It's not as floral and fragrant and zingy, but it's very well balanced. Definitely still has a distinctive nose and the same basic character. Just a little bit less of the sweetness. I would say it would hold out easily for 6 brews overall. They are relatively low elevation, maybe 500 meters up in Pinglin, depending on which farm it is from. So in general, the higher the elevation, the more endurance the brew has, or the leaves can be brewed. So I think you'd be easily satisfied with a 1 to, let's say 1 to 16 ratio. I did 9 grams in a 150 milliliter pot here for 6 brews. I'm just going to taste that one more time. Yeah, it's still very much alive. I would say at least 6 brews. You could possibly get up to 10 with it, no problem. Okay, so just a quick mention on the leaves here. These are the brewed leaves. They have been destemmed by computer or a scanning machine that can identify leaf material from stem material, and they have these intricate scissor mechanisms that remove the stems, in effect. So it really is all leaf material, and that will add to the balance and the overall quality of the brew for sure. The leaves look quite mature. Again, they're large leaf cultivar or a tea type, so they look differently than your typical oolong tea. One thing that seems to have happened with the destemming is that the leaves have gotten chopped a bit. They were hand-picked. They have to be hand-picked. These trees are more like a tree than a bush, so they're not really, they're not conducive at all to machine harvesting and need to be hand-picked. It's pure leaf. They're not full leaves. I think they would be huge if they were. And evenly oxidized. Oh, there's almost a full leaf, smaller one. One of the things that distinguishes a large leaf tea from a small leaf tea is that there's less cellular layers in the leaf. So it's a thinner leaf and broader. So that's why it makes it harder to uniformly oxidize. There's more surface area and less thickness to it. So it takes more finesse in the oxidation process. The rolled leaves are very pretty, all one color pretty much. And roasted, like I said, for about 24 hours, a little bit lower than normal if compared to a tea guanyin. And I'm starting to sweat because I just downed a lot of tea. So I should stop talking. And please check out our blog posts and add your comments and questions under our blog posts or in this video post. And we would love to hear what you have to say about this batch of tea. And we'll see you next time.